The SEC conclude their season with one playoff win that is not involving two SEC teams. Pretty bad. This is Newbie Sports. And let's get right into it. Ole Miss versus Miami last night. Good game. Good game. I didn't provide an instant reaction because I was not able to watch that live, but I think that was a really good game. I think we've been able to have really, really good playoff games this year. There have been a few blowouts, would have been fairly disappointing looking at you, Alabama. But good playoff game last night. I think both of these quarterbacks have a bright future in football. Very, very bright future in football. But I don't want to break down the game too much because anything I'd say you've already heard. So, going to move on to just the situation with the SEC. The SEC's total playoff record this year is 3-5. Now, that's their total playoff record, including games where SEC team was playing against SEC team. So you were guaranteed to have one win and one loss. So let's look at their record against all other teams. 1-3. And the one team you did beat that wasn't an SEC team, SEC, was Group of 5 Tulane. You didn't win a single playoff game against a Power 4 team not in the SEC. That's bad. That looks really bad. The SEC should be disappointed with this season. I picked Texas A&M to stomp Miami. I didn't think it was going to be close. I thought Miami was a poser. Shows you how right I am all the time, which is not very much. That's why I'm making this channel, so that I can learn and grow and stuff. But I don't think the SEC should look at this season as anything other than a disappointment. Because once again, for the third season in a row, you do not have a national championship presence. Just saying. Just saying. And the Big Ten is going to have a different team in the championship game for the third year in a row. If I said the ACC, I meant the Big Ten. I think I said the Big Ten. But the ACC, Miami, is present in the college football playoff championship game. And either Oregon or Indiana is going to go to the championship game. So there's that. Keep that in mind. And this game against Oregon and Indiana is a little bit different for any SEC apologists out there, because this is the semifinals. In order to get to the semifinals, you had to have won games in order to get here. There are no SEC teams playing against other SEC teams in the semifinals. I predicted that there would be. I predicted that it was entirely possible that there would be. So, there we go. But going forward with that, I actually predicted Ohio State would go on. So I did not predict that we'd have two SEC teams in the semifinals. So correction on the record there. But I think the ACC should be very proud of Miami. And I think the Big Ten, once again, for the third year in a row, has generated success. No matter what happens in the championship game, the Big Ten won this year as a conference. And the disappointments for the Power Four are the Big 12 and the SEC. Pleasure Book Company, the Big 12 and the SEC, in the disappointment center. The only thing that would have made this year not a disappointment is if Texas Tech was able to get any playoff wins. Any playoff wins. Everything else was just fine for the Big 12. But yeah, you can't be the only playoff team to not score any points and not have that be a disappointment. So, Big 12, SEC, disappointing seasons. Very, very disappointing seasons. The SEC, overly so. The SEC was obviously the worst conference in Power 4 play this year. And I know I come across as an SEC hater, and that's because I am. But there are there are programs in the SEC that I deeply respect. I think Ole Miss has generated very good football, especially this playoff season. They weren't able to get the win against Miami, but very, very excellent football from Ole Miss. And yeah, Texas coming up with the only bowl win against Michigan. I think that's another win too. So I respect Arch Manning. I respect Texas as a program, and I respect what Ole Miss has been able to do. I found it really, really hard to respect them when Lane Kiffin was their coach. But the rest of the programs, it's just, what are you doing? What are you doing? So, yes, I'm an SEC hater, but I try to be fair with how I do my SEC hate. I try to give flowers where it's due. The Alabama-Oklahoma game was very entertaining. I don't think either of them are in the top 15, possibly even the top 20 teams this year. Sorry, guys. But, yeah, let's get into the Oregon-Indiana game just for the last couple of minutes of this video. I do think Indiana's going to come up with a win. I'm not going to provide a score update here. I believe I picked Indiana to win in my last video, but I needed to provide some commentary on this last game and just say, yeah, the SEC supremacy needs to be done away with. Over. There were some things that people were saying about how JMU and Tulane getting in were DEI picks. And I'm thinking to myself, no. The fact that you had 5 SEC teams and one of them won against non-SEC teams, that is more indicative of a DEI situation to me. So hopefully we'll be more honest about how we cover the SEC. And if we are, I'll become a lot more of an SEC apologist. But until the big voices start being fair and honest about the rest of the conferences, which all of them did better than the SEC this year, including some of the Group of 5 teams, by the way, did a lot better than the SEC. So, I don't have any more thoughts to share. SEC supremacy is over. 3rd consecutive season where they don't have a team in the conference See, there I go making mistakes in the championship game. And, yeah, SEC is over. This has been Newbie Sports.